Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. I am Brenda Rogers, candidate for Kane County Recorder of Deeds. As your next Recorder of Deeds, I will protect our taxpayers' investment, bring awareness to the position, and do outreach to our residents and veterans. I am asking for your vote during early voting, mail-in ballot, or on November 3rd. Vote for Brenda Rogers, Kane County Recorder of Deeds, paid for by Citizens for Brenda Rogers.
Accountability in government is not a nice to have, it's a must have. That's why I'm voting for Tracy Miller for Kane County Board, District 4. As a mother and businesswoman, she understands the middle class. She's fighting to keep property taxes from going up and to keep us, the citizens, informed of what's taking place. I want a voice in county government that listens to me. That's why I'm voting Tracy Miller on November 3rd for Kane County Board, District 4. Paid for by Friends of Tracy Miller.
All right, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys on Good Morning Aurora. So as we know, we are in the middle of an election. Today is election day, but the city of Aurora has many more different things going on and great initiatives. So now you gentlemen are involved in Aurora Business United.
Yep.
Okay.
Judd's the founder.
All right. Good to see you, Mr. Lofchie.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. And introduce yourself.
My name is Bob Lockwood, and I help with Aurora Business United, and I shoot people with photography and video.
All right. So you just came from voting.
Yes, sir.
How was that experience? See the sticker and everything?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. My precinct was not too busy, busier than normal, but basically no wait at all. A couple minutes. It was great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And it was fast. It took me about 3 minutes to vote because I had already decided who I was voting for. But man, there's maybe 8 or 9, 10 questions. That's it.
Yeah.
And mine.
Question for you. So your precinct is in the Fox Valley area.
Uh-huh.
Now they have had early voting, and I have seen like red lines of Russia. What's your thoughts on that? Real quick?
I think it's great. I've never seen so many people come out to early vote at the Fox Valley Mall. They had some lines, but they were open 7 days a week, which was nice. You could vote even on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was great. Yeah. So early voting is in downtown. I came to vote early last week, and it was packed downtown. There's a new Kane County Clerk's office on Downer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 5 West Downer, and there was probably 20 people online, which is a great sign.
Do you think that is because of the tax amendment? Do you think that's why the people are really coming out?
I think this election is people want to be heard. I think there's a lot going on. There's, besides the tax thing, the president, the representatives, there's just so much going on, the judges. I think people want to be heard this time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There has been a sense of people not being heard countrywide and in the city. What do you think the general population's frustration is?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a disconnect, or some people feel there's a disconnect. By the way, I don't think I've introduced myself. I'm Judd Lofchie. I'm Alderman for the east side of Aurora and the founder of, as Bob says, Aurora Business United. Yeah, I think there's a disconnect. I think people maybe don't feel they're being heard enough. City Council voted last week on raises for aldermen and the mayor. 3% a year for aldermen for 3 years and 5% the fourth year, and I voted against it. I got a bunch of emails against it saying, hey, this isn't the time because of the pandemic, and I don't think it was. So people were angry that, they're hurting and that we're voting for raises. And there were 3 or 4 aldermen that voted against it, so it wasn't just me.
Right.
But yeah, I think that maybe there's not enough information flowing to the public, what is happening, and then the public needs to let us as politicians know. People complain about politicians. Well, I only got 4 or 5 emails on the raise thing. I thought I would have got a lot more.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes there are some issues you'll get 10, 20 emails and calls and texts, but I think that's the issue. Maybe communication needs to be better, and it's hard. Our city's so big, 200,000 people, but with electronic means now with Facebook and Twitter, Instagram.
You can do a lot to get the message out.
Right. Exactly.
That's maybe the problem. There's so much information.
Yeah.
It's like drinking through a fire hydrant through a straw. You know, there's so much.
You're right. There's so many different Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, email, text,
Snapchats. Just never ending.
So when the time is right for citizens to, to make their voice heard, they can do so at the city council meetings.
Yes.
They get 3 minutes to do so. What's the requirements for that for the listeners?
Right. So you just have to sign up. I believe it's at 3:00 by the day of. You have to either call or email the clerk's office and say, "Hey, I want to speak." And you don't even have to live in Aurora, and you don't have to tell about what you're going to speak about. You just say, "I want to speak." They'll put you on the agenda. We allow 30 minutes, so it could be 10 speakers for 3 minutes, or some don't use it full time. But you need to be prepared. If you're going to speak, you will be cut off at 3 minutes.
Yes, you will.
You have experience?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The mayor. All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. That's.
Now, what has anybody ever had presented like an argument, or not an argument, but like presented something to the thing, and had it swayed your mind one way or the other? Were you like, I mean, like, did you like discover the secrets of fire type deal, like in that moment?
Well, maybe not the secrets of fire, but we definitely learn from the public, and we encourage it. And we have lots of good speakers. There's speakers like Margie Longman, who speaks all the time, sort of the conscience of Aurora to kind of keep us honest. But absolutely, we kind of live in a little bubble. I mean, as Alderman, I have 20,000 residents, but I have a Facebook page, I have emails, stuff like that, but, communication is a little tough. So getting the word out to them and getting the word back, it is difficult. So absolutely, we learn things. Absolutely. Yes. We're not allowed to engage with the public. That's part of the speech. I don't know why. I'd rather be able to ask them questions, but
I'm sure it could evolve into banter, though.
Yeah,
right?
I was just about to say, that could become very awkward.
And it wouldn't be fair to the next speaker who wants to speak. He may never get to speak, or the last speaker. So, yeah.
What's one of the biggest or one of the greatest things that you learned from residents and constituents and listening to them? Has there ever been something that they've proposed that's become a law or an ordinance or got the job done?
Well, I think ethics. I had brought it up, and I heard from a lot of residents that they felt that we needed, higher ethical standards. So I worked hard to get a ethics ordinance drafted, and then worked with the city attorney, and then he kind of took everything I did and redlined it and almost started over. But we did get an ethics ordinance passed, so that was good. We didn't get caps on campaign contributions, which I pushed hard for. Mm-hmm. If you do business with the city or the county of Chicago and Cook County, if you do business with them, you can only give a candidate $1,500 for a 4-year election cycle. And I proposed, well, let's double it. Let's do $3,000 just to get it passed. Arlington Heights has a $1,000 cap, and we're 3 times their size, so that was a rational idea. But they didn't pass caps, and that was one thing that people were happy about the ethics ordinance, but not happy we didn't get the cap passed, just because there's too much potential, pay-to-play kind of stuff.
Well, now let me ask you this question, and I've always wondered, so let's say, I am not a multimillionaire, so don't send any emails, but what if I was, and I isn't kind of freedom of speech, saying freedom of what I want to give to, if I want to give, I've often thought of like caps, like if I want to give $100,000 to my church, nobody caps me on that.
Correct.
So what would it matter if I say, hey, I really like you, Judd, I want to give you $100,000, and you can do that. You can donate $100 to the, what I'm saying. Isn't that a form of speech in a sense? I don't know.
It's a tough one because there is freedom of speech, right? But if somebody gives a politician, say, $25,000 or $20,000, you would think that it may not look good. The appearance of impropriety, the buying the vote appearance, and not that it happens. Yeah. Not that just because some president of a company can give you $11,000 and his wife can give you $11,000 and the vice president can give you $11,000 a year, Does it mean for sure they bought your vote? No, but in a municipal election, 25,000, things like that is a little much, I think.
That's got definitely kind of a cringy vibe to it.
Right, and the newspapers had brought it up, and I think we need to do something about it.
Right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm a resident. I love the city of Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fair criticism to want and expect the city to do more in regards to building up and construction and keeping things moving, keeping the bells and whistles, whistling during a pandemic? Are the people being fair in their expectations, and is the city delivering?
I think that people are being fair. I think the city is delivering or trying to deliver on a lot of things. We've given some, rent assistance grants of $5,000 directly to landlords if you were hurting.
Wow.
We've given some businesses grants, but again, like anything else, it might have taken 6 weeks to get that,
right?
Or 2 or 3 months, and there's a ton of paperwork. The complaints I got, there was a lot of paperwork to fill out. So was it perfect? No, but I think we did an okay job. Could we have streamlined it? I think so. Yeah. And we did give, I was banging the drum hard for Hesed House. They didn't have heat. Their occupancy after 40 years was like cut in half. So they basically had to move people across the street into the warehouse. And they were living in tents, and it got cold, right?
Yeah.
And I know that because I volunteer there almost once or twice a month. So they needed heat in the warehouse, right? And we give a lot of projects, $1.5 million, $1.5 million, 12 million for the Copley, X million for this project, but they needed a loan to get their heat, and we weren't willing to give them a loan until one of the counties agreed to it. And that really disturbed me because it was just a loan, right? It wasn't a gift like all these other things. But anyway, the mayor said, I know you're very passionate about this, and then we did get them approved to get a loan after the DuPage County stepped up and guaranteed us the money.
I think the reason you're passionate about it is because you're big on bringing people together. I mean, that's the whole point of Aurora Business United is government, non-for-profits, and businesses all connecting, bringing them together. Of course, you're the founder of Streetwise.
Yep, that's our motto, bringing government, business, and nonprofits together, Aurora Business United. We meet once a month. Used to be at the library.
Yeah.
But we've been doing Zoom meetings. We still get a pretty good, 40, 50 people online and maybe 15 to 20 on Facebook Live. So still get a good turnout. And at the beginning from 7:30 to 8, you get to introduce yourself. So it's like great networking. Mm-hmm. And yes, I founded Streetwise, the homeless paper in Chicago in 1992. So I am passionate about the homeless. We've helped over 13,000 people walk in, walk out with a job. It's not a handout, it's a job. Curtis.
Oh yeah. I would encourage the listeners and the viewers to go check out our episode with yourself and Mr. Lewis Johnson and a gentleman by the name of Charlie Schmalls. Great interview, and we delve into that a lot. And that was good. Yes. Yeah, that was a good one.
Thanks.
I believe that the city and the tent city issue was a large one for a lot of constituents as well. But there was a lot of unsafety in the tent city issue. Some of the tents were on the BNSF rail yard was one of them now. I talked to a friend of mine. Yeah, a friend of mine was advocating for the tent city and the folks. But the BNSF rail yard is a highly dangerous place for anyone who's not qualified to be at. Is there some give and take? Is there some, I mean, there has to be an elimination of the tent cities in some areas. Is that correct?
Well, so the tent city I was talking about was the tent city inside the warehouse at Hesed House. That's the one we gave money to. Only that one.
Okay.
But the one you're talking about, tent city outside the BNSF railroad, well, the problem is when the health department and the city cut the Hesed House's occupancy almost in half, they had nowhere to go, a lot of people, right?
Right.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
So a lot of them went and lived in a tent outside during the summer when it was nice. I've helped a lot of people try and get apartments. The cheapest apartment in Aurora is probably $750 a month, right? So you need $750 for rent, $750 security deposit, You need utility deposits.
Right.
You might have had an eviction 5 years ago. Landlord won't take you. You know, the rental market's tight. I share a space with Century 21 on the west side on 1999 Galena in front of West Plaza.
Yeah.
And a guy there who has a bunch of apartments told me yesterday, he doesn't even need to put up a sign, an ad in the Beacon, nothing. He'll put his thing on whatever it is, apartments.com. He'll have his apartment rented by the next day.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Isn't it like 100% occupancy almost at like downtown? I mean, maybe not 100%, but
Yeah, really high.
Like 99 or
Yes.
90%. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like,
Yes, it's great, but for people who, you know, need a place to live, it's not easy to find because the market's a little tight. People don't want people coming in. You know, if you're renting and you're about to move out, you may not want someone to come in because of the pandemic. It's a tough time, and it's a really tough time for people that don't have money.
Yeah.
There's no jobs. People are getting laid off in droves, right? Restaurant people, service people, retail. It's tough.
what are some of your thoughts on trying to help those homeless people? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Hesed House does as good a job as they can. They do have counselors to help them, but you know, it probably takes a village, you know. So some of them may have a criminal record for selling marijuana, you know, 10 years ago. Well, it was a felony back then.
Yeah.
They got to get a lawyer or somebody to help them get it expunged, right?
it doesn't automatically sponge off.
I don't think so. No, I mean, I don't know exactly, but
Cook County via the Illinois State Police the goal was to expunge everyone's minor and up to I think 28, whatever it was.
okay.
But I mean that's literally waiting on the state to do it for you.
Kane and DuPage, I don't think it's automatic. I know
Right.
I've filed petitions for people who, you know, they did something really dumb. They got, you know, and I mean, only a couple in my life, but
Right.
usually you have to file it, and then you have to make sure the police don't object. And you know, I only take cases where it was someone did something really stupid. And they've had a great record since then.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's hard when you apply for and Aurora has a requirement you have to do a criminal background check, right?
Yep.
And a credit check. So if you got a felony on there, even if it's something that maybe is legal now, like marijuana, a lot of landlords won't take you.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Especially when you got the pick of the litter. You got 10 people applying for that apartment. You don't need the person who's got the felony, even if they turn their life around, they're going to church, they're volunteering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's also talk about, and Bob, something that you know about really well. Let's talk about the downtown Aurora restaurant scene. Okay. Now I mentioned knowing it very well because you turned me on to a lot of good places.
I think it's because I'm a fat guy. That's you're like, oh, he's a fat guy. He's got to know the good restaurants. Just, you know.
There were the Invest Aurora grants, and I think there was also another grant that was in conjunction with the state of Illinois, if I'm not mistaken, specifically to help the staff of restaurants, waiters and whatnot. What's the pandemic been like for restaurants down here in this second mitigation phase?
It's tough. I mean, I've heard from restaurants that have told me that, you know, one of them has been in business a long time, said this is the first time she thought she may not make it because this 2-week shutdown that it ends this Friday, hopefully, you know, she's had to lay off staff and because, you know, sort of the state came out and said a lot of COVID has passed through restaurants, people are afraid to go there. And she's afraid that even after the shutdown is over, maybe this Saturday, if they don't extend it, people are going to be afraid. So,
I can tell you that. I mean, I worked in the restaurant business. I was laid off. I worked in the entertainment business, and it's just brutal. Yeah. And on top of it, not even the brutal factor. The fact is people are becoming used to not going to restaurants, and so I think it will end up ultimately dynamically changing. You know, myself included. I went to restaurants all the time, like McDonald's or whatever. I mean, you know, and now it's like, well. I can figure out something here, you know, and stuff like that. So I think we're changing our whole dynamic.
And I think people are getting used to doing takeout, and because of the fear of COVID, maybe some people won't go back and eat in the restaurant, and then the waiters and waitresses aren't making money. You know, that's
I know a lot of restaurants were looking at, one of the restaurants I worked at. you'd scan, you use your mobile device, you'd scan, and you'd order everything right there at the table, and it would just be a runner. There would be no server. I mean, almost eliminating out server positions. You just have a couple of runners to run out food. To really, I mean, like, and I give these restaurants a lot of props because they're coming up with, takeout meals and takeout kits. I mean, you look at these kits, some of these kits, you're like, you're giving me a tomato, a lettuce, and a piece of an onion and a raw burger, so I can make my own. And I mean, I give them credit.
Fuddruckers all over.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's like Fuddruckers to go. But I mean, they're trying.
Right.
They're like, hey, here's a burger kit, help us.
Right.
So I give them so much credit.
Got to reinvent themselves. You're right.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think it's really struggled.
So the time is now 8:31 a.m. You've been listening to and watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and we're glad to be joined by our Alderman, Mr. Lofchie, to talk about Aurora Business United with our friend Bob Lockwood. So we know that you have a busy day, only got so much time, but we want to give you the opportunity to give us the message of the day, because the show does end on a positive note, and also let us know what's next for Aurora Business United. What's coming up?
Sure. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Message of the day is vote. Get out and vote. I'm not saying who to vote for, but get out and vote. We have some really low turnouts. I think this one's going to be obviously a really good one, but 50%, 60%. Some countries in Australia, it's 85%, So we need to get out and vote and show people that we care, no matter who you vote for. And then at Aurora Business United, the second Friday of every month, set your calendar, 7:30 a.m. You can be at your house, Zoom in with your coffee, and introduce yourself between 7:30 and 8. And then we always have two speakers between 8 and 8:55. And then at the last 5 minutes, if you announce something, a fundraiser, charity fundraiser, your business is having an open house or something, or a celebration or a seminar, you can announce that at the end. And we get a good turnout. And Bob helps a lot doing the video and moderated, and we'll have a lot of views even afterwards. So check us out. We got a lot of good speakers talking about business and networking and marketing and all kinds of stuff.
If you go, we have a group page, so you have to ask to be part of it. We have over 1,000 members.
Yep.
So it's free, and you can just go ahead and sign up.
Yeah, exactly. We have a Facebook page, website, meetup group where you can see who's coming, even though only about half the people RSVP. Yeah, website, LinkedIn. So.
Very good. Very good. Very good. All right, gentlemen. Well, on behalf of Good Morning Aurora, I'd like to say thank you to both of you guys for coming on out and doing the show with us today.
Yeah.
And have a good rest of the day. Don't forget to vote out there, all you wonderful people.
Till 7 p.m.
Till 7 p.m. That's right.
Yes.
Right down here up the street at the
Depending
Kane County.
on where you are.
You have to go.
Oh, that's right.
If you're in Kane County, go to Kane County Elections, and you can put in your address and name.
That's right.
They'll tell you where to vote. They'll give you a sample ballot. Same with DuPage County, Kendall, and Will. Aurora has 4 counties.
Right. If you're an early voter like me, that's where you went, the Kane County building on down across from Charlie's Creamery. Anyway.
Right.
All right. You guys have a good rest of the day out there, and we will see you guys all later. Have a good one.